Good morning. Welcome to the New Bill Show on YouTube. Anyway, I wanted to bring a little something different. It is about the Tesla, and I just wanted to leave a video review of an accessory that I think a lot of Standard Range Plus owners get for their base model Tesla, or at least consider. Part of the 20, or well, actually even the new ones, the Model 3 Standard Range Plus, part of what happens with the partial premium interior is what they call it, that you actually lose you lose some features. A couple of them really are like whoopee-doo. The biggest one that you lose is the full audio system. There's like 12 speakers in the Teslas, the Model 3s, and part of the partial premium interior is you lose a couple of amplifiers, and you lose, they deactivate some of the speakers. So there's two speakers that are up on the rear deck by the rear window, and then there are a couple of speakers up on the by the sun visors, and then there's some tweeters down in the doors, but the ones in all four doors down low are all still active, as well as the sound bar across the front is still active, but you lose the other speakers. You also lose the big subwoofer that's in the trunk. So what can you do? Well, there's a company out of China. They're very fast shipping. Got to give them kudos where they make a couple of kits. One of the kits is just a activating harness with a little crossover box so that it activates all the dead speakers. The booger of that is that you don't get the subwoofer, which would be nice still, because what happens is since you've lost amplifiers in the system, because I tried the DIY kit is what they call it, from Hansshow. It does, and I did add the rear speakers to my 2020. I have a late 2020 Model 3 Standard Range Plus, and so sometime in 2020 production run, they quit putting the rear speakers in the back. The other speakers are all still there except for the subwoofer, but they actually quit putting the rear speakers on the deck up there by the rear window. So I actually bought a part off of eBay, bought that shelf up there with the speakers in it, got the speakers on my shelf because it looks better than the older one, and got them wired in. So that DIY kit does activate then all the speakers in the car, around the pillars, on the corners by the side mirrors, and those rear deck speakers. Great. It sounded pretty good. The only problem with it is since there's no amplifiers in the system, it takes that power and cuts it down, because now it's feeding all those speakers. So then you really need bass, because what happens with the basic audio that's in the Model 3, it still sounds really good even though you're lacking the activated speakers. But it uses the front door speakers basically as your subwoofers. Directs most of the stock system, directs most of the bass signal to those speakers, and it sounds honestly pretty damn good. Better than most other cars' systems anyway, just without doing anything to it. So the DIY kit was good. It activated all the speakers, so now you've got full immersive sound. Didn't really distort anything, but you lost all your bass. So I really wanted to add a bass. So I bought a subwoofer from Crutchfield, similar one to the one I'd put in my 18 F-150, which was perfect for it, a kicker. It added just enough bass to that stock system, sounded exactly how I wanted it to. I mean, is it premium? Was it the Bang & Olufsen? No. But did it sound good? Yes. So that's basically what I wanted to do to the Tesla then. So I tried to wire it in, and it just couldn't get the right, and what I have a feeling is there wasn't enough power from the speakers, from the wiring harness, to actually power that subwoofer in back. So I was like, okay. So Hansshow has a solution. They have the version version A kit, which has the activating cable, and then it also has a 8-inch powered subwoofer. And then in their wiring harness, you're pulling power off of the 12 volt under the back seat. Easy peasy to run. The instructions, not so easy, but after I'd already run the DIY kit, I pretty much knew how to do this one, so I didn't even really need to look at the directions, because once you've done it, it's pretty easy. So I was going to order the version A kit because it just had the powered subwoofer and the wiring harness. Great. I order it. Apparently they were out of stock, but they had the version E kit, and that E kit had the subwoofer, had the wiring harness, but also came with like a 31 channel or something digital signal processor unit, which again, I probably had a little bit of power coming out of it because it had its own power source. Great. So I order it. Well, they upgraded me for free is what they said. They said, hey, we're out of the version A, we'll give you an upgrade. I'm like, I didn't really want a digital signal processor, because if it's not done right, it isn't right. It can distort the sound. But I was like, okay, so they sent it. I got it all installed, put the little digital signal processor under the center console where you're supposed to hide it. You have to hook it up to your computer and download their little software, which Windows does not like their software. It keeps throwing up alerts for viruses and shit. But, they're like, no, there's no virus. It's because it's coming out of China. So it's like, okay, yeah. So I installed it, and once you run that program on the digital signal processor, it does actually activate it and makes it sound presentable. It gives it kind of a fake 3D surround effect, which is what I did not want to happen. I wanted it stock sounding. So overall, I don't think that was, it's not the sound I wanted, but the big problem with that DSP unit in the version E is that it distorts the sound. And if you're listening to loud with heavy bass and everything, that's actually not bad. It actually sounded good. But the problem was, if you're on the Bluetooth in the car, it would distort, make it sound like somebody's going speaker to speaker. It was trying to fuck with that. And also the Bluetooth, but if you're listening to like a news show or something where they were just talking on the radio or a podcast, not music, it really, speakers would cut in and out as the unit was trying to process that. And it's not something you just flip on and off, because it's buried in the center console under your panels. So it's like, I lived with it for like a month, and I'm like, I've switched jobs. I've got a new job now, and so now I've got a lot of highway time, and it was just driving me crazy. So I'm like, I just wanted the subwoofer and the active speakers. So I reordered another version A. Got it in. They actually had it this time. I made sure. I said, hey, do you have it in stock, before I pulled the trigger? Yes, we've got it in stock. Okay, great. So I ordered the version A. I get it in. Very fast shipping. And it's coming from, and forgive me if I pronounce the city wrong, because I'm sure I will, but it's like Shenyang, China. And it's amazing that I can get something from China to the middle of the South in the United States in like 4 days shipping. Seriously. Amazing how quickly that happens. So very impressed with their shipping. I get the unit in. It looks exactly like what I want, except I was kind of assuming that there would be a little crossover unit on it like there is on the DIY kit, although there was not. So it's like, okay, well, maybe this will still sound good, because basically I just want the speakers activated and I want a little bit of sub. Get it all hooked up. The sub is the exact same sub that came with the version E kit, so I didn't have to uninstall that sub. I just plugged it into the new wiring harness, which was good. The sub was getting signal, but the rear speakers were not getting any sound out of them. And then, weirdly enough, the passenger or the driver rear door speaker quit with this wiring kit. I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. It worked with the DIY kit. It worked with the version E kit. And so, after uninstalling the version E and then installing the version A again, I'm like, the stock audio did not sound bad. And I'm like, I got it. I'm just going to return it. Because I just bought it. I'm just going to return it. I bought it through, paying with PayPal. So you've got PayPal backing you up, which is good. Because I started trying to return the return process. And they like to communicate on the WhatsApp messaging service. So I've been dealing with them, and I'm just like, I've tried it, I've got it hooked up, it just doesn't work. I want to return it. So I'm trying to return it now, and I'm not sure how that process is going to go, but hopefully it will go good. So I've just relegated myself to keeping the stock sound system, because honestly, with the limited power that the unit provides, because you're missing a couple of amplifiers in it, it still sounds good. You've got enough bass. It's just all the front speakers, and I'm like, but I can actually talk on the phone now on Bluetooth without it distorting, and it distorts on both ends. Because as I was talking to people on the phone, I asked them, I said, so does this sound better than like the other day? They're like, oh my God, yeah. I was echoing back before. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was afraid was happening. So they're like, yeah, it sounds way better. And so I'm just keep the stock and try and return. But I'll let you know how Hansshow handles the return process. Honestly, getting stuff ordered has seemed really easy. And if I really, really wanted it, I would probably go back to that just DIY kit to activate, but then I missed the bass. So I'm just keeping the stock as it is. I'll probably have this car for a few years, but honestly, it sounds so much cleaner, the sound, than the distorted sound with that DSP. I'm just done. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update. I haven't seen a lot of YouTube on the Hansshow. I've seen a couple of where they were installing it, and that actually helped a lot installing even the DIY kit of how you got to do it. So those were good, but nobody really has reviewed how the system sounds. So I wanted to let you guys know. To me, I'm not an audiophile or anything, I don't think, but I do like the sound correct, and it distorted it too much. So that's my review of it. Lived with it for a couple of months, so I did want to let you know that. Hansshow, though, has been really good to work with so far. Of course, this is the first time I'm doing a return, so we shall see how that all ends up. But anyway, it is a beautiful day here in the South. I am now in the panhandle of, give you a little view, panhandle of Alabama. So now I work over in Daphne. So it's about a 40-minute drive, but it's just all highway, so it's actually a very easy drive, and it's good to just sit back. You got the autopilot on, let her drive, and of course keeping your hand on the wheel, because autopilot is a fully autonomous system, even though some media likes to say that. So anyway, that's my quick review on the sound quality of the Hansshow units, the DIY kit, the version A, and the version E. So it looks like on their website they've just gone down to those 3 versions now anyway. So I don't like how DSPs sound usually unless it's professionally tuned, and I don't know anybody to professionally tune it. Don't want to spend that kind of money either. I'll just wait till I get my next Tesla, and I would honestly probably get the mid-range, the long-range dual motor, just because then you get the full premium interior, you get the little puddle lights, which is the other thing you lose, and whatever other little things you lose. It's not that big a deal. But other than that, though, I do love the car still. It's great. Even with my commute, the standard range is still more than enough. So anyway, that's it. I hope you all enjoy the weekend and the day, and